for our second section, which is guest talks. Our first topic is ocean conservation and its vital role in shaping a sustainable future. I would like to invite Mr. Roger Maslin to share this topic with us. Yeah, so hi, Mr. Maslin. Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Can you see, if I go onto the first slide, can you see that slide?
Yeah, we can see the slides now. Thank you.
Okay, so a very, I guess, a good afternoon to you all. As you say, my name is Roger Maslin, and it's my privilege to be the CEO of the Ocean Conservation Trust. So over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm just going to give you a flavour of how we approach ocean conservation through our 3 programs. And what we try and do is just create a healthier ocean. So we have 3 core ocean programs called Ocean Habitats, Ocean Advocacy, and Ocean Experiences. And the Ocean Experiences is all about getting people together. We have we operate the UK's national aquarium called the National Marine Aquarium, where it's a great opportunity to excite people of all ages about the marine space. We also have a significant ocean advocacy and engagement program, which we call Think Ocean. And it's really to connect people with the ocean, to think about the ocean and see how connected people are to the ocean and vice versa. And then thirdly, we have our ocean habitats program called Blue Meadows, which is all about the protection, regeneration and restoration of the wonder plant called seagrass. So Blue Meadows, at the heart of Blue Meadows, is what we're trying to do is to look at how you protect and restore at scale, not just a little research project, but it's all about scale. So for those of you who may not be so familiar with seagrass, seagrass is a photosynthetic plant. It's found in coastal waters up to about 10 meters deep, but it's found all over the world. So certainly in your part of the world, there are about 60 species. We have a cold water variety. You have a slightly warmer water variety. But it's the ocean's only flowering plant, but it's also one of the most valuable habitats in the ocean on the planet, because it has many important properties. A lot of people are increasingly seeing seagrass as a wonderful way to store carbon, and it is good, but the reality is this takes quite a long time. And in fact, carbon storage is only a small proportion of the benefit that seagrass provides. It's more important in terms of the biodiversity that it helps create, in particular being a key nursery for fisheries. Yes, alone what it can do for other nutrient cycles, whether it's oxygen or indeed what it can do to help protect coastlines, particularly here in the UK. Unfortunately, it's also one of the planet's most endangered habitats, largely due to human activity. And in the UK, on the right here, we've lost about 90% of our seagrass, really because of those human-related activities. So what's the solution? We have a 3-part solution, which is about protecting what we've got, then trying to restore what we've lost, and then trying to scale our techniques outside of the UK. So the first step is about protection. And the principles here are very straightforward, but in the UK, people really don't know where the seagrass meadows are, and they don't really understand why they need protecting. So a very important part of our work is to involve the local communities, because they will become part of that ongoing legacy, ongoing solution. So it's really important to engage with the communities and really create an easy mechanism for the harbour authorities around the UK that control the coasts. So as you can see on the right-hand side, we've come up with a very distinctive marker buoy that alerts everybody to where the seagrass meadows are. And what we're trying to do is to use that same marker all the way around the coasts of the UK, so that when a boater goes into a coast or a harbour, they recognise that it is an area to protect. So we started in a place called Falmouth, which is in the southwest, so the bottom left-hand corner of the UK. We started last year in May, and there we protected the first 20 hectares, working closely with the harbour authority and the local community. But it was quite an easy and cost-effective way of getting corporates involved, because you can put their logos and badges on the marker buoys together with the other information that the harbour authorities need. But also it provides an easy way for the port authorities to really do what they need to do, because part of their obligations is to also to make sure that the seabed, the sea floors that they look after, are left in better condition year on year. So this is the southwest of the UK, and this is where we are in Plymouth, about round here. And so we've been there's a lot of seagrass all the way around this coast. And so we've been protecting all of these areas over the last year. And our intention is to protect from Land's End all the way through here to the Isle of Wight over the next 5 years. So we've protected now 120 hectares, and our 5-year plan is to protect 700 hectares, which is about 10% of the seagrass meadows. We're also using technology, and we are teaming up with a company called Savvy Navi, which basically is an app on a mobile phone that shows the charts of the sea. So mariners can look at your charts in your boat, or you can use an app on the phone just to show you where the seagrass areas are. The second step then is all about restoration, so restoring what we've lost. And here we're really trying to use technology to mass produce seedlings and try and take away the expensive element of diver cost. So many of the projects in the UK are all about using seeds in one way or another. And indeed, some of our projects are as well. So for example, we take seeds, put them in bags, and then put them on the sea floor. What we've also been looking at is new technologies, which is really looking at mats. So if you like if you use a doormat and full of seagrass, planting that in the sea floor, that seems to have been a better mechanism. And as well, we're also trialing basically hydro guns. So if you imagine a diver with this very large gun that it's like a big sealant gun that you use to repair a window in a house, but a very large one that can be used full of seeds underwater. And we've just trialed that in the coasts where we are, and it has proven to be very successful. So now what we need to do is see whether we can take the diver cost out and mechanize that, trailing it behind a boat. It's fine to do all of the protection work, but what's also important is that we absolutely have to monitor the impact of our intervention. And for each of our protection sites, we monitor the amount of seagrass that's been growing. We also monitor the amount of biodiversity that is there in the seagrass, and we monitor the amount of carbon that's been buried in the area that has been protected. So we can have a baseline, and then we can see over the next 5 to 10 years the impact of the interventions that we're having. I mentioned stakeholder engagement. It's really important for us to get the whole of the community on board, whether it's those that use the water and the coastal areas, either for recreation or for their livelihood, or the wider community, get them involved at all ages, from schools all the way through to old people's homes. And then there's the third step, which is scaling. So once we have proven the concept of restoration at scale, how can we then take that and share our knowledge with other seagrass restoring projects around the world? Because our goal here in the UK is to go from where we are with the 7,000 hectares, so about 7,000 large football pitches. How do we go from there over the next 30 to 50 years to get back to where we used to be in the 1930s? So what we're trying to do is provide that holistic solution that delivers that scale of change. The potential is huge. Just if we look at the UK alone and just consider, let's say, the fisheries support, in the UK, the fishing industry supports 12,000 jobs and about $1.5 billion US dollars across Europe. So if we only doubled the amount of seagrass and the fish stocks there, you can see the scale of change that might be there. Yet alone, the amount of carbon that will be stored, and indeed the amount of oxygen that will be generated. So here's our 5-year plan. So we're trying to protect 10% of remaining seagrass, developing that blueprint for scaling seedling propagation en masse, and then basically going and restoring the seagrass meadows that at all of our protected sites, and really trying to share that blueprint across Europe and the rest of the world. Sadly, we don't have very much time. So as of today's date, we only have 315 weeks to 2030. So if there's anybody on this call that's listening in and would like to tackle climate change really as urgently as we do, it would be great if you'd like to contact us, because all help would be very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Maslin, for your interesting and insightful share. Yeah,